everyone, this is Marika and I welcome you all to this new session of Community Health Nursing with me. In our previous session, we discussed a very interesting topic which is custom. We've discussed what is customs and what are the several customs that are related to the hygiene. In this session today, we are going to discuss about the customs that are related to food and also about the superstitious beliefs people have. Before we move on to today's topic, let us quickly recall what are customs and various customs related to hygiene that we discussed in our previous session. We have seen that customs are defined as certain activities that are performed by a particular community, can be the activities performed by a particular society or by the people of the entire nation. Now, these activities are given approval by a special group in that community. And the customs, those activities are performed by people in the community and it is also handed down from one generation to another, which means customs are activities that are approved by people of the community, which are considered a special group of the community, and every community hands down or transfers the customs that they have learned from one generation to another. The best example of custom that we discussed was a bride wearing a white dress during the day of her wedding. So this was a custom that was followed long back and it is still followed to the modern times, and it is one of the belief that white dress is to be worn by the bride on her wedding day. So this is a type or a form of custom that is even followed to this date. When we see this, we can understand that customs which were followed in earlier times are slowly taught to the people of next generation. It is transferred or it is conveyed to the people of next generation and it goes on. Now, we also have seen that customs can be thought as a way of controlling the behavior of an individual, because every community have their own custom and they expect the people within the community to follow those customs. When people are aware about what they are supposed to do and what they are not supposed to do, what is their custom and what is not, it regulates the behavior of the people. Another important thing for us to remember is that customs differ from one country to another country, differs from one community to another community, and what is acceptable in one single community may not be acceptable in another community. So custom cannot be generalized overall for the people of the entire nation or the people of the world. Every community have their own customs and it differs from one community to another, it differs from one society to another, and from one nation to another. From the time of our birth, certain rituals are carried out, certain customs are carried out according to the religion of the child. From the time of birth till the death of an individual, even after the death of an individual, customs are followed according to the religion, caste of the particular person. So custom is an important part of all of our lives. Depends on our religion, depends on the type of community we belong to. It differs from one person to another, but it is always followed by each and every individual who lives in a society. We already discussed about the customs related to hygiene, which includes hand washing, bathing, hair care, and face care. We are going to discuss about the customs related to food. Now, do you all think that there are certain customs followed for food consumption as well? Yes, of course, we have different customs followed by different group of people, different community, different religion related to food. The kind of food that we consume is largely influenced by certain customs and belief of an individual. What kind of food we consume and what kind of diet we follow also differs from one particular place to another place. It differs from one community to another and it is largely influenced by the custom and the belief of the person. The very best example of custom related to food is vegetarian and non-vegetarian. When we take our society, especially in India, in Hindu people largely prefer being vegetarians, whereas in Muslim people prefer non-vegetarian type of food. So this is also influenced by religion and custom of individual. Now let us see the vegetarian type of diet. When I say vegetarian, we understand that vegetarian are the people who do not consume meat products. In vegetarian, some of the people or some group of people do not consume onions and garlics as well. And the timing of food consumption also differs within the vegetarian group itself. For example, if we take the religion Jainism, we see that people who follow Jainism eat their dinner before the sun set. So it is believed that food consumption before sunset is better and the dinner should not be consumed after the sunset. So the type of food that we consume, whether we are vegetarian, whether we are non-vegetarian, and the timing of food consumption, the type of food consumption differs among different communities. When we talk about non-vegetarian as well, there are different type of non-vegetarians and they also consume food. The kind of food that they consume, the kind of meat that they consume also differs from one group to another according to the religion and the custom of the people. Another custom related to food is adulteration of milk. We've already discussed about what is adulteration and we've seen that milk is adulterated either with water or synthetic milk. In certain communities and certain religion, there is a custom of adulterating the milk with water. They believe that if the milk of the particular animal is boiled in pure form, then the quantity of the milk that is produced by the animal will be decreased or the milk of the animal will dry up. In every different community, in every different religion, we have different customs that are followed. Another important custom that we see in India related to food is observing fast. We see that in India, people observe fast for various reasons. Especially in Hindu community, fast is observed by people in Hindu religion for different reasons on different days. Now, when we think about observing a fast by the person, it has negative impact as well as positive impact on the health of the person. It may help positively to enhance the health of the person and it may also deteriorate the health of an individual. One of the most common fast kept in India by women is called as Karwa Chauth. Karwa Chauth is a kind of fast that is kept by women for the long life of the person they are married to. Observing a fast on Karwa Chauth is a common practice, common custom in India, but if it is observed by pregnant women or a lady who's diabetic, then there is a chance that the person's health may be affected because of this reason. As discussed in our earlier session, it is not always necessary that customs have positive impact on the life of the person. It may also affect the health of an individual negatively and also other aspect of individual's life negatively. Even in Muslim communities, we see that they observe the fast called Ramadan. Ramadan comes once in a year and it is followed by every person, whether it is a male or a female, and it is observed for a period of months. All these are customs that has been started long back and it is still followed to this date. In Hindu communities, we see that people observe fast during different time of the year for different reasons and for different god. For example, Janmashtami, Ram Navami, Karwa Chauth, Shiv Puja or Hanuman Puja. So all of this are certain customs that are followed by the people, which is different according to the religion of the person. Now, another interesting custom that is followed in India, which you might have heard about, is a custom that believes that a woman after her marriage is supposed to eat the left out food by her husband. This is also one of the most common custom that we find in India, wherein the woman eats after her husband and if any food is left out by the husband, she eats that food. And lastly, the custom related to food that we see, which is observed in India and other parts of the country, is there is a custom of offering a prayer before eating a meal. We see that in almost every household that before we eat our meal, we thank God for the meal that we are blessed with. And that is also to make sure that the negative spirits around are distracted away. So these are various customs that are related to food, which is followed in different parts of the world and also in our country, India. Let us discuss customs related to marriage. Of course, marriage itself is a custom that differs from one community to another, that differs from one society to another. So there are various customs that are related to marriage as well. Let us see what are those. The very first custom related to marriage that was seen in earlier days is purchasing the bride for a young man. In earlier days, the brides were purchased in order to marry. That means a male would buy the bride or buy the girl he wants to marry. This was one of the most common custom that was seen in earlier days related to marriage. In many of the societies, there was a custom which asked the men to show their power to guard the woman or the family that he would have in future. If a man had to marry a woman, he had to show his ability or his power to guard the family after the marriage. Another custom related to marriage is that in many of the societies, even to this date, especially in our country, there are arranged marriages wherein the parents come forward to select the bride or the groom for their son or daughter. So in India, we see that arranged marriages are common. In arranged marriages, it is the parents who select the bride or the groom for their son or daughter. But when we think about our modern society right now, marriages are usually based on mutual love from two individuals who are involved in a committed relationship. Especially in today's world, we see that two individuals who fall in love with one another, they go for marrying one another, and such type of marriage is called as love marriage. So this is one of the custom that has been reformed in Indian society. Earlier, most of the marriages that we used to see were arranged marriages, but now as the time is changing, the custom of having an arranged marriage is also changing. Some customs also say that the bride should always stand on the left of the groom during their wedding or during the ceremony. In Hindu community, the horoscope of both the bride and the groom is also matched before they are married to one another. Whether it is a love marriage or an arranged marriage, the horoscope of both the partners are also matched to see if they are compatible with one another. So the priest in Hindu marriages are given the horoscope to see if they are compatible with one another, and also according to the horoscope of both the bride and the groom, the priest selects one favorable day for the marriage. Another one that we have is consanguineous marriages. This is also a kind of custom that was followed from a long time back, and it is still followed. But consanguineous marriages, as we know, has negative impact on the health of the offspring. Consanguineous marriages has higher chance of producing the offspring with hereditary disorders. So these are the various customs that are related to marriage. Next, we are going to see few other customs that are followed by people. The first one that we have is sexual practices. In many of the customs and religion, having sexual relationship with the partner before marriage is not allowed. This is also one of the custom that is followed in India especially. The second one that we have is oral hygiene. So in order to maintain the oral hygiene, or in order to keep our teeth and mouth clean, people use twigs of neem. They also use ash and charcoal to clean the teeth or to maintain the oral hygiene. Of course, in modern days, toothbrush are used by people. Use of ash or charcoal to clean the mouth or to maintain oral hygiene is not considered, as it may have certain ill effects on the health of an individual. The third type of custom that we see is parda system. Parda system is mostly followed by Muslim communities, wherein women are asked to cover their head and the face with a veil. So the particular religion justifies why it is followed. Parda system also has a negative impact on the health of the woman who covers her entire face and head with a veil. This deprives the women from the beneficial effect of the sun rays. The fourth custom that we have is related to sleeping habit. In certain religion, in certain custom, people are asked to sleep on the grounds. People are supposed to sleep on the ground and not on the bed. This custom also has a negative effect on the health of the people, because there are higher chances of insect or snake bite when the person sleeps on the floor. Next one that we have is walking barefoot. Now this is one of the most commonly followed custom in Hindu communities. People, when they visit temple, usually walks barefoot, or on a certain day of fast, people are not supposed to wear slippers. This custom also has negative impact. Of course, this may lead to injuries to the person, and it may also lead to hookworm diseases. Next one, we have customs related to birth of the child. The very first custom related to birth of the child is not feeding the child for the first 3 days with mother's milk. Of course, when we hear this only, we can understand that it has ill effect on the health of the baby. So in some customs, it is believed that the babies are not supposed to be fed with their mother's milk for the first 3 days, and only after the 3rd day of the birth, babies are fed with mother's milk. So this will drastically affect the health of the babies. The second custom related to the birth of the child is feeding the baby, is prolonged feeding the baby with breast milk and not weaning. Weaning is also one of the most important component in the growth and development of the child. The child has to be given the first meal. The weaning has to be started at the 6th month. In some of the custom, it is believed that weaning is not necessary, whereas the child can be only fed with mother's breast milk. Another custom related to the birth of the baby is conduction of delivery by untrained dayas. In many of Indian communities, we even hear our grandparents telling stories about babies being delivered by people who are unskilled. So this is also one of the custom which was followed in earlier days but is not followed to this state. We see that people conduct delivery in earlier days. We've seen that people conduct delivery without trained professionals. Not having a trained professionals and also using the articles and equipments that may not be sterile enough, right? We see number of deaths related to the birth of the child. The mother usually die after the birth of the child, and many of these cases are related to using unsterile equipments and articles during the time of delivery and delivery conducted by unskilled people. Another custom related to the birth of the child is applying kajal. Now, applying kajal is one of the most common custom. The kajal is applied to the newborn after the birth of the child. Applying kajal may have negative effect on the vision of the child. The kind of kajal that is used causes various harmful effect on the child. It may cause to certain eye infections and also may affect the vision of the baby. That is it for today's session. In this session today, we have discussed what are customs and what are various customs that are related to food, related to marriage, and other customs that are observed in our country. I hope the class was helpful, and I'll see you all in the next session. Thank you and have a great day ahead.